Statues and paintings have been and still are reliable artifacts used in archaeology in order to determine the ethnicity or race of ancient peoples who have left them. Take for instance ancient Greek statues that depicted the typical Greek face of the time. It would be strange to reject them or question the ancient artist's accuracy. The same can be said about ancient Chinese statues, Mesopotamian statues, and so on. Yet when it comes to ancient Egypt, ancient Egyptian statues are often shown out of context or without context, misinterpreted or misrepresented, sometimes dismissed altogether. Most are shown without a proper context, or some relevant ones are simply not even shown. The current view of the experts on the statues is that the features depicted on them alone are not very representative of any particular race, but that of the ancient Egyptians. They claim that the features alone are not enough to determine what race the ancient Egyptians are more similar to or are from. Many scholars even go as far as to say that the features present on the ancient Egyptian statues bear no similarities with other Africans, but present more similarities with Middle Eastern populations.
No, they were dark skinned,
but they were not black.
But they are not Negro. Because look at the lips of the Negroes like that and the nose like this. It's not really the Egyptian origin at all. It's different, completely different. And this is why you cannot connect the Egyptian civilization with the African at all. It's different. Or from Syria, Palestine, Mesopotamia, it's different, completely. Another theory that I believe in it, that the Egyptians were Egyptians.
Zayawas. They bear no similarities with Africans further south. No similarities, none whatsoever. I must say he's very, very, very funny. No similarities? I beg to differ. I really do, sir. I beg to differ. Let's go look at some ancient Egyptian statues and see for ourselves. First, we have the beautiful Queen Hatshepsut, queen of the 18th dynasty. This is a bust of hers at the Lukre temple. Pay attention people. Let's analyze this beautiful picture. Alright, this is the beautiful woman that was once queen of Egypt. Pay attention to the features again. Here the painter or the sculptor, here the artist. Let's call them artists. This is beautiful art. Here the artist again chose brown, not red brown, but brown to depict the skin of our beautiful queen. Pay attention to the features again. The lips. Full lips. This is the face of an African woman, but others would beg to differ. Hey, I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of Middle Eastern people or European peoples with this type of skin and this type of lips. Not many, none at all. Maybe you can show me one. Alright, this is Queen Hatshepsut. No similarities to the Africans further south? I beg to differ. Have a look at this. This is a picture of an African American woman and the bust of Hatshepsut. You can clearly see the similarities between the two women. The lips, the nose, the skin color. The skin tone is very telling, very, very telling. You can clearly imagine an ancient Egyptian artist representing this woman. It's very telling. The similarities are striking. Look at the eyes, the nose shape is practically the same. The skin tone is also practically the same. The lips, again, very telling. Here is a kneeling statue of Ammon. This name is crazy long and almost unpronounceable. Amenhotep III. Well, okay, forget about it. I'll put the name on the screen. This is a kneeling statue of that guy, right? So again, pay attention to the face of the goddess. Of the goddess is carrying. These features again look very similar to that of the Egyptian hieroglyphic for face. Remember that one? Right. Pay attention to her face here. The full lips, the broad flat nose of the Africans. No similarities again, Mr. Hawas? I beg to differ. This is the face of an African woman. Next, we have Pharaoh Djoser or Zoser of the 3rd dynasty. This is an old kingdom pharaoh. Look at his lips again. Full lips. Yeah, pay attention to the features. These are very African-like features, I must say. And again, the nose is broken. We all know the story about the noses of ancient Egyptian statues. You can all make your theories there. I'll not discuss here. I'm just looking at the lips and the cheekbones. I see an African. Next, we have the famous Pharaoh Ramses II the Great, the one who conquered shit. This is a pharaoh of the 19th dynasty, and look at the way he is represented by his artists. The lips. Full lips again. And if he was a white man with red hair, why would his artists, who were very keen on depicting accurately the likeness of their king, put full lips on him? Here is Pharaoh Menkaura, Pharaoh of the 4th dynasty, again depicted here with features resembling that of Africans, but all this is rarely shown or quickly shown but not explained. And all these are called white pharaohs, or at least, Egyptian pharaohs, not the black ones. Well, here is one of the most telling statues of Egypt that I've found. To me, this is the most telling. This is Pharaoh Amenhotep III at the British Museum. This is a pharaoh of the 18th dynasty. You will later see his wife being depicted in a very similar way. Look at his face. Look at his face. Look at the features being represented on that face. What do you think the artist was saying? An artist representing full lips, the broad nose, high cheekbones, and a broad face was representing a black man from Africa. Let's be honest, this is a black man, obviously. Next, we have Pharaoh Sahura. Sahura, Pharaoh of the 5th dynasty, Old Kingdom, Egypt. Again, look at this face. The lips are very telling. The lips, people. The typical Middle Eastern man, the typical white man does not have this feature. His lips are smaller. His lips are not full. The Africans have the full lips. It is strange to say that the ancient Egyptians share no similarities with the Africans further south when you see these statues and think, oh, he strangely looks like a black man. What are those big lips? What is that broad nose? Oh, must be a creative way to depict the pharaoh. No, it's not. This is an artist that is depicting what he saw. It is strange to question the accuracy of the ancient Egyptian artists when we don't question the accuracy of the ancient Greek artists, ancient Roman artists. We do not. Some do, and are called out for it. Here is a pharaoh Userkat. Here we can have a little bit of a mixed feeling. He could have been black, he could have been mixed, he could have been Middle Eastern. Ancient Egypt was not a homogeneous population, but that does not mean that there was no majority population there. In my opinion, given the evidence we've seen, is that the majority population was black African, and there were few minorities, just as in America today. In the USA, we have a majority population of white who founded the country and other minorities being there. You have to be careful. You have to have a lot of evidence of who is the most represented in positions of power in the populace, in every painting, every art. Then you can conclude, okay, this is the typical face. And in ancient Egypt, who is the most represented is the brown-skinned men with full lips and African hair textures. So we can assume that they were the dominant population, the founding population. Next, we have Pharaoh Tutankhamun. Yes, this is a picture that is rarely shown. You can only find this in a museum. I believe this is at the Cairo Museum. Again, here you see King Tut being represented with a brown skin, full lips, and a nose resembling that of the East Africans. Again, why would the artist, knowing that his pharaoh has a pale skin, choose brown to represent him? Here is an artist that clearly respects accuracy. The white of the eye is white. The eye is dark, so you choose black, as any artist would Tiye just choose black and draw. Eyebrows are there. The features are respected. The ears are respected. The lips are respected. Why wouldn't the skin be respected? And it is said at the museum that this was a torso used by Tutankhamun's dressers to try on some new designs for their king. So again, they probably wanted a torso that had a face most resembling their king so that they could see how the colors of the clothes and the clothes would match the face of their king. Just my opinion here, but again, this is the color that has been used on our king. And do you know who Tutankhamun's grandfather was, or great-grandfather? That was Amenhotep III. Yes, Amenhotep III. If his grandfather was black, he must have been black. And here is his grandmother, Queen Tiye, or Tiye, wife of Amenhotep III. Remember the black man we showed? Right. Here we have Queen Tiye, clearly represented with an afro here, a brown skin, and the typical full lips, very similar to that of the Africans further south. Here is the sarcophagus, again another very common representation in ancient Egypt. Look at the face being represented there. We have a typical black woman. Look at the lips, full lips. The skin represented there was brown. You can see here, not yellow. That's because the paint has faded, in my opinion. The paint seems to have faded because you can check in the ears there. The paint is still there, but in the surfaces that are most exposed, the paint has faded. So yeah, brown was used for the skin, in my opinion. And again, the features are very telling. Next, we have a pair of statues of Nebsen and Nebet. This is a couple of the 18th dynasty. Pay attention again to their features. Since we have no skin color here, we still have the features. Both the men and the women share the same features of broad nose, full lips, and the hair textures. The hair textures, people, I cannot emphasize this more. These are locks, and whose hair is most known for locks and braids is the African hair. It is the African hair. This is a hairstyle that you find Africans doing to this day. This is a hairstyle that you find African women doing to this day. Here is another picture of Egyptian foot soldiers. These are Egyptian spearmen, not Nubians. And you can see here the artist chose brown, dark brown to depict their skin. And again, full lips and African hairstyles to represent the faces and the heads of the soldiers. If these soldiers were lighter of skin tone, if these soldiers had features very similar to that of the Middle Eastern people, such as the Armenians or the Arabs, the artist would have shown it here, yet he did not. Here's another set of wooden statues. You cannot see the third face there, but you can see these two faces. And again, pay attention to the color chosen for the skin of this man here. It was brown. The paint has clearly faded, but yes, the color was brown. Pay attention to the features again. Pay attention to the features again, my people. Right, broad nose, broad features, full lips. And the man is wearing an afro, man. He is wearing an afro. The man next to him, again, has the same full lips, broad nose, but he cut his hair. He chose to cut his hair. Compare these features to that of the Middle Eastern people, such as Armenians or Arabs or Mediterranean peoples or Europeans. And lastly, compare it to the African faces. Which one bears more similarities with these pictures I have presented here? I have presented pictures of pharaohs, queens, kings, laymen, normal people, the highest social class and the lowest social class, and we found in both people resembling the Africans further south. To dispute the view of the scholars that ancient Egyptians share no similarities with the Africans further south, I say this view is simply strange or wrong, since Nubia is the civilization that shares the most similarities with ancient Egypt, similarities that will be discussed in future videos. Not only Nubia, but the very hairstyles, skin tones, facial features resemble more that of the Africans further south than other Middle Eastern and current Mediterranean populations. Unless you want to decide that Nubia is somehow not African too and not black as well, then that's another debate like we can't even discuss anymore, since your eyes can't even interpret the world properly, right? Nubians are not black. These are the darkest people on earth. They're not black. Okay. Right, to sum up, ancient Egypt was a civilization that represented its people with brown skin on paintings and broad features on the statues, features resembling more other African populations to the south more than Mediterranean or Middle Eastern or even European populations. Given the archaeological evidence of ancient Egyptians' visual representation of themselves, my opinion is that ancient Egyptians were what we would consider today black. That is not to say that no other ethnicity was ever in ancient Egypt. That would be ridiculous to say. What I mean is that, albeit there were other ethnicities, ancient Egypt was a mostly black nation founded by blacks, just as the USA is mostly a white nation founded by whites. And please, before you start calling me Afrocentrist or coming to this conclusion, take a look at the evidence I present and offer some constructive counter-argument against it, instead of name-calling and personal attack, which are not becoming of a person who has solid arguments behind them and a critical mind. So please, I will only respond to people who can come up with worthwhile counter-arguments or evidence. Thank you. Also, before you say, these representations are not enough, and who are you to even say so? Well, just know this is not the only evidence I have. More videos are coming up with extra evidence outside the representation. And furthermore, I am not the first person to find that the ancient Egyptians have more similarities in terms of features to that of the Africans. Herodotus thought so, Diodorus of Sicily thought so, many European scholars prior to the 19th and 17th century thought so too. It was widely accepted in scholarly circles, in academical circles in Europe, that ancient Egyptians were blacks. It is only when racism kicked in that they changed that view. I hope this video has been edifying to you. Peace.